Hey everyone, it's Body Bags here with another Feel Good Gaming deck profile. This is top 4 this time at our November tournament. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us what you did.
Hi, I'm Robert. I go online as Plus HD. Played here, Feel Good Gaming, 3rd and 4th place, Semi-Finalist. Let's go.
Cool. Want to show us what you won first?
Yes, absolutely. 3rd and 4th place, an Ultimate Rare First Edition Light Blade Treeborn Frog.
There you
really
go.
Valuable triple-digit card in there.
Beautiful. Look at
great
that.
prize aboard here at Feel Good Gaming.
Of course. All right, let's get into it.
So I was playing Absolute Zero, Diva Heroes, more of the aggressive version. Let's go into the deck. Starting out with 3 Upstarts, 3 Reckless Greed, and Allure of Darkness.
7 draw cards, that's insane.
Yes, usually you start off with the monsters, but really these just thin out the deck down to 33 cards. Playing Darks, so obviously Allure, but all these cards work together to accomplish the same goal of getting to your power cards faster.
Yeah.
You're playing Upstart Goblin. One of the best parts about Upstart Goblin, people don't think about, plays around Trap Dust Shoot on turn 1. So turn 1, your opponent goes first, they're going to Trap Dust Shoot you. It is its Edison format. It's a power card, but then you have Upstart. It's the only way that you can have a random card on turn 1. Anything else you have to set, like Legacy of Yada. These things, they also work well with the Recklesses. Get you into 2 Recklesses, which is really what you're trying to do. Reckless Greed. You activate it, draw 2 cards. That's a +1 in terms of cards. You're using 1 card to gain 2. Then you're losing your next draw phases, so it's a -1 overall. But if your opponent is trying to destroy the Reckless Greed, something like MST, Mystical Space Typhoon, Raiko, Caius, you have this set as a bluff. You're getting value out of it as a bluffed trap card. When your opponent targets it and you flip it, that automatically, they're using a card to try to get rid of it.
Makes it even.
Yeah, it makes it even by itself, and then you get all the cards up front. I'm just going into these because nobody's playing Reckless Greed. I think it's one of the best cards that people are sleeping on. It's really good in certain specific decks. I like it in Black Wings. I like it in Diva Hero.
Yeah.
I don't like it in any decks that are milling cards, taking cards from the top randomly, because you need to be hitting your power cards with that. This deck is not. You're trying to just get specific cards in the graveyard. So thinning it down is just, the life points really never matter. People think of Diva Hero as like an OTK deck.
Yeah, you just blow them out on one turn.
Yeah, you're trying to blow them,
how much they have.
Yes, but this deck, you'll usually blow them out, but you'll have such a strong board that if they have a couple thousand more, was pretty negligible overall versus all the advantages you're getting out of this. You'll see it come up a lot where you're under Deck Devastation Virus and you draw, it's Upstart. Then you can wait and activate it then. Just so many advantages this card. Reckless Greed is a bluff. You're playing it. Your opponent never knows if you have traps or not. And if you ever get doubles, it's just a lot of value. So that's just spending a lot of time on just that because there's a lot of staple cards in this deck. The only other 2 to start off with are Gores and Trag. These cards kind of go in the same pile as this, because these are only here to help you when you have bricked hands. When you're drawing Malicious only, when you're drawing all your Gilmans, these cards are here so you can draw pass on turn 1. Just have 6 cards in hand, drop a Gores, you can reversal the whole game. Plays through Oppression. Tragodia won a crucial match where I got to use Malicious, discard to take their level 6 Synchro, Armed Wing, make Synchro plays. I think both these cards really important in really any deck.
Yeah.
Side these out a lot, gain.
Even just their presence makes people play differently. You can just draw a pass, and like even if you don't have it, they think twice about it. You know.
Absolutely, they're expensive darks for Dark Greffer, trying to get into as well. Like just a lot of, I think they're must-haves in almost every deck, especially if you're playing darks. As much as I don't like these cards sometimes, and I side them out most of the time, there's just so much value to helping one card. Your full hand is playable now.
Very true.
With cards like Dark Arm Dragon, playing this in any dark deck. Triple Caius, I think you're playing this in any dark deck. I'm not even playing that many set monsters to try to tribute, but there's a lot of ways to get this card out. Deals with everything. Then Greffer and Armageddonite both. Sometimes you just play Greffer, or people play multiple Greffers. You're playing Armageddonite as a kind of backup plan. A lot of times I'm ending up Dark Greffer to pitch the Armageddonite to get something else. There's really only 2 darks you're trying to get in the graveyard, and that's Plague and Malicious. So Dark Refer kind of serves that purpose, but sometimes you only need Plague, or sometimes you only need Maui.
Yeah.
So they work well together, I think. And some of the things you're discarding are Plague, and your last Dark monsters are Sangan and Spirit Reaper. Sangan's kind of a weird card. He's kind of slow. You have to set him or have him get destroyed. But he's a great Caius target, and he searches out Deep Sea Diva in the Diva hero deck. I think he's really flexible. I hate this card a lot. He gets run over in Black Wings, and anything that pierces you, Shura, Flame Veil Fire Dog. I'm just hating having this card, but he's just so versatile, and your opponent really doesn't expect it. When they see all this, I like to call it gas, all this aggressive stuff you're going to see in this deck, when you set a monster, they're not necessarily going to think it's Sangan. It's just going to slow and get you what you need, because your hand is going to brick up, and this gets you the one combo piece you need. And Spirit Reaper was one of my latest additions in this deck.
Okay.
Really been an MVP against so many decks. Fairies, which wasn't at this tournament, but he just stops everything. Being able to discard your opponent's hand. These two cards are kind of like your slow cards, which are going to come out when your opponent least expects it. Because you're playing the standard heroes, which is just 2 evil hero. That's it. Just these 4. I've played this at 1 like this, but I think you need 2. These are Caius tribute targets. These are Deep Sea Diva synchro targets, and that's it for the monsters. You're really trying to get Malicious in the graveyard, synchro with the Prodigy, or just tribute the Prodigy for your Caius.
Awesome.
That's really it for the monsters. It's a really standard deck, trying to special this, summon the Diva, get the Gilman, eventually get this out, and then synchro multiple times, attack. You kind of get the idea. So you're playing your draw cards to get there, and your doors to make it to that point when you don't have the combo fully lined up. The spell cards are really where you're going to get your power. The Future Fusion, one of the strongest cards in the format. I try to play it in every deck that I can.
Me too.
If you can squeeze in some water monsters and a hero, or dragons, or anything, Miracle Fusion at 3. I've tried to play this at 2 because you're not playing that many heroes, only the 4. But it's so versatile, and what really made it for me, the most key part of this deck, is the 2 instant fusions.
Interesting.
Yes. This got really popularized in the zombie deck, is what gave me inspiration for this. Yes, there was a zombie deck that uses multiple instant fusions and has this Spirit Reaper zombie card, the fusion, and then you can call the onto it. This deck has this old elemental hero card called Mariner, which is just a hero water. Everything that you want. It's perfect. Yeah. It's like Infernal Prodigy and how you can just summon it, but you can have a board and still summon this guy, and then usually tribute him for Caius. That's usually what you're doing with this card, or you're
going for the synchro too.
Or you're going for the synchro and getting Black Rose Dragon to nuke the field. If you're doing those things, you get Mariner. If you're just going to tribute him right away, otherwise, you're getting Musician King, and he is going to make Arcanite Magician, which because he's a spellcaster. You don't care about his attack, his light. He can't attack the turn they summoned, but you can get Arcanite Magician out and start destroying cards. In the top 8 match, I destroyed, he had Starlight Road, but I destroyed it 1 at a time. You can put him in defense mode, attack mode. He's just a surprisingly versatile card. People aren't really expecting. He gets under Bottomless. They have the Bottomless, the Musician King. They have Bottomless Trap Hole, which then you have all your cards still on the board. It's just...
I just don't see anyone bottomless on the Magician King.
Exactly. It's not great value. So that's where you're getting it from Instant Fusion. It's just summon a monster. I think this card's the future of the format. You're going to see more of this card, and you're seeing it in zombies, you're seeing it in heroes. I'm going to see it in more of the frog decks. You're going to see more. It's just so fast. The 1,000 life point cost really is pretty negligible because you're just going. It really unbricks your hands. Because you're trying to draw combo pieces. That's what I'm saying. You have this card, and since tuners and heroes, you're trying to draw them all kind of together.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and then you have so much with draw engine. That's why you saw it. Because the rest of the spells are just your staple spells. Rhoda is really overpowered. That's what the Armageddon Knight is here for, because when you just play 2 hero or 2 warriors, you're not frequently getting a good Rhoda target.
Right.
So if you've already drawn Greffer, you can go for Armageddon Knight. If you've already drawn Armageddon Knight, you can get Greffer. I think it's really versatile with that card. It's the main reason I play the 3 heroes or 3 warriors. Some people play DD Warrior Lady, something like that. I think you need 3 warriors for Rhoda, and play these cards just to be a staple cards, maybe one of limited cards that will usually win you the game if you draw them. So why not? The last thing I'll say about spell cards is there's some that I'm not playing, like Mind Control. I'm not playing a lot of tuners. And it's
Diva.
Yeah.
And Plague.
Yeah, just Diva and Plague, and you're usually using the instant fusion to synchro off those. And then you can deal. The reason why you play Mind Control is for face down monsters, but you're using Arcanite Magician and Caius to deal with face down monsters, or Dark End Dragon. So you're not playing that. You're not playing Gold Sarks. Some people are playing a more slower version. This deck's trying to go fast. Just 3 traps remaining after the Reckless Greeds that you saw were Dust Shoot, Solemn, and Return.
Love that.
Yes, just trying to go fast.
Very streamlined.
Yes, your opponent will, because you're playing the 3 Reckless Greeds also, you're going to usually have a trap card in your hand. You're usually going to have a Reckless Greed or one of these cards, and they're going to have to play around Bottomless Trap Hole. They're going to have to play around Deep Prison, Mirror Force, and you're not playing those cards, so they're playing around it for nothing. And then they're going to try to destroy it, you're going to chain Reckless Greed, they're going to try to destroy it, you're going to chain Solemn Judgment, or they're going to try to destroy it, and you're going to win the game off of Return or Trap Dust Shoot. So that's kind of the theory with this deck. You're trying to kind of bait your opponent into doing something that isn't optimal, and then punishing them with a really big board, which is where you'll see, I'm just going to quickly go through the extra deck. So I kind of shouted it out. The 2 instant fusion targets with the absolute 0 is really what you're going for with this deck. You instant fusion and get these guys out, usually every game. Magician King, they're kind of equal how often you go for them. I think you're going to see how squeezed the extra deck is. 8 stars to Stardust, Dark End, and Colossal. I had to cut Thought Ruler Archfiend in order to make space for these cards, which you'll see later, because Thought Ruler Archfiend actually makes it into the side deck of this deck.
Oh, crazy.
You actually have to side deck that card because it actually won me the game every time I side decked it in, and it lost me games when I didn't have it in there. So
I feel like I never see a extra deck card on the side. That's crazy.
Exactly. You need it against frogs, against so many things. I want to get in the side deck in a second, but in game 1, you're not going for Thought Ruler. But in time situations where you need life points, you're going to need Thought Ruler against frogs, against the burn decks, which I consider Black Wings the toughest matchup for this deck. You need that card, but in game 1, not so much. So you can cut it, and I really haven't had much of a problem without it. Just wanted to give a shout out to Thought Ruler. Arcanite Magician takes his place. This really versatile card. 2 6s, 2 5s. I think Android is really important. Gain life points even in game 1. And Armory Arm can get you the Colossal Fighter OTK.
Oh, yeah, the OTK, yeah.
Very important to have this card and know how to use it with Colossal Fighter. It doesn't come up a lot, but in certain matchups.
Yeah, if you can identify it, you just, it's OTK.
Yeah, you go for it. It's tough. You have to know when to do it because if they have a back row set, whether to go for Stardust or to go for the OTK, it's a lot of skill goes in this deck, a lot of planning, and that's why you're trying to draw as much as you can. I'm going to get into the side deck. Side decks are always just player choice and meta dependent. What I was going for with the side deck is try to beat Black Wings. If you notice, I'm not playing Bottomless Trap Hole. I'm not playing so many cards that deal with Black Wings. Like Black Wings normal summoning a monster with Whirlwind. I have nothing to deal with that. I don't have Book of Moon, Compulse, nothing.
Yeah.
So that's where the big part of the side deck comes in taking down Black Wings, which is a lot of trap cards. I'm trying to side deck in 2 Dust Tornado, 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, and Compulsory Evacuation Device. Just to deal with Royal Oppression. Don't have a lot of ways to deal with that. You're just trying to do your strategy, and in the side deck put these cards in. Because main decking a Dust Tornado against frogs.
Yeah, useless.
Against some really good decks in the format, Light Swarms. I try not to play any dead cards in my main deck and put the dead cards in the side deck, and then I can sub out the less optimal cards. Like for these cards, you'll side out Sengen, which just gets eaten up by Blackwing Shura. Stuff like that. Put in some more defense in the side deck. Another way you could go with the side deck for this deck is put in Royal Decree and just try to play to no traps at all. But when your opponent sees Reckless Greed and your opponent sees all these upstart goblins and aggressiveness, they're gonna side out their spell and trap card removal. That's perfect time for you to side it in, which is why most of these cards in my side deck are spell and traps. You've got pulling the rugs, extremely important against the mirror match. This card shuts you down. Deep Sea Diva, Elemental Hero Strategist, Armageddon Knight, Kaia's the Shadow Monarch, Swap Frog. So many cards in the format. Pulling the rug just takes them down. The last cards in the side deck, 2DD Crow. Very versatile card. Anytime you're going second, you need to be able to interact with their board going second. I think you need it. Some hand traps. It's a dark. For Dark Armed, goes in against frogs in most matchups. I side in 1, but if I'm going second, I'll always side in 2 against most dark matchups. Plague Spreader, chain it this Plague Spreader every time I see a Plague Spreader. Both of these are coming in. And the last one is Pot of Avarice. Anytime I see a Pot of Avarice, this just shuts them down because they're milling all their cards and they really rely on that. So I can just hold on to this. Even if it makes my hand a little bit more dead, I can play slow and take them down. With that, I play 1 Cyber Dragon and another card in the extra deck.
God,
I don't main this because it's really squeezed. I'd have to take out Android or something else, and you really can't. But machine decks are very scary. They're very powerful. If you ever played against Machina Fortress or the Jinzo Return deck, you know why you need at least 1 copy of Cyber Dragon. You can play 2. I had this at 2 Cyber Dragon with the Fortress. I recently cut it to make space for some of these other cards. Let's see the last cards. I mentioned Thought Ruler Archfiend before. I think it needs to be in the side deck. I played a tournament without this card in the side deck, and I've lost several games in a row. The one I'll shout out is Amaryllis. I knew they had Mark of the Rose in hand, and I got to synchro into 8, which you're doing all the time. Is it hidden armory to search it out, and it's just I have to go into Stardust, they steal it, or I go into Colossal, they steal it and contribute it. This card stays alive, and against frogs, and against Blackwings to heal up, and against anything in time. If you're playing IRL tournaments, you know the games can sometimes stall out.
Oh, very true, yeah.
I'm stalling out this video just explaining all the cards. When you're in the game, you have to think through what's in their deck, what's in my deck, think about every little choice. So the game goes to time, you gain these life points, and they can win you the game just right there. They can stall it out. I think it's really good by destroying your opponent's monster. If you know they have Deep Prison, stuff like that. And how would you know what they have is the last 2 cards really are Mind Crush and DD Designator. These cards go with Compulse as kind of your hand control package going on here. I think they're really slept on. I think people know Mind Crush is really strong, but DD Designator is doing the same thing, and they go well together. When you activate DD Designator, even if you're wrong, you get to see their hand. So you can activate this first, even if you don't know what's in their hand. Then you can call whatever you're afraid of. You'll be wrong, and you can banish your card. But then, if you have Mind Crush as well, that's where it combos in. You can get rid of any card in their hand, know exactly what they have. I try to play around what everybody has. I think this card will see a lot more play in the future. Right now, nobody plays it, so I gotta explain it a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting card. I've played around with it in kind of something similar to what I've been playing myself, but yeah.
I recommend it. It banishes, you get to see your opponent's hand no matter what, and you're removed from play 1. Really slept on card. The negative of it is it's during your own turn, which is slow, but against the right matchup. That's why it's in the side deck. And if your opponent has duplicates, it only grits her to 1. The main matchup this is here for is frogs. Frogs always will normal summon Swap Frog on their turn 1. They'll always get it back in their hand. And then you always DD Designator their Swap Frog, see their whole hand, and now you know whether to play around Gores, whether to play around Battle Fader. It's not just 1 for 1. It's seeing their whole hand, their whole game plan. In the finals match, my semifinals match, I played against the frogs. I had to take a picture of his whole hand twice because I had this and Trap Dust Shoot. Get rid of their key cards. Very important game. Plan with this card. I think you'll see more play later. You're losing some other cards in the side deck for it, but it depends on your meta. Yeah, Treeborn Frog. It depends on what you're playing against, what the most effective technology in your area is. Sometimes this card's dead and it sucks, but sometimes it's what you need, so it's in the side deck. Last 1 Light Imprisoning Mirror. You're playing no lights, so I think any deck that plays no light monsters should play this card. I could play 2, but it's just because you don't want to draw multiples of this card. So you only need 1. I didn't play against any lights fairies, that's why it doesn't get much of a shout out in this.
Yeah.
But
This was
it's just
respecting
on the-
Zach in particular.
Yes, yeah, Zach. Shout out to Zach, the classic fairy player, always top 8ing. Couldn't make this event, and lucked out by not having multiples of this card in the extra deck. Was able to squeeze one out of there. Thanks so much to Feel Good Gaming for
Yeah, of
this
course.
opportunity to win a Treeborn Frog. It's my first top 8 in a while. I got to feel like I was making good plays, meeting great people, getting great prizes. Tournament was run great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Happy to have you.
Yeah, this is Rob with Diva Hero. Made it in the top 4.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, bud. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Cool. Thanks.